Hey YouTubies, this is Amy for my week 10 check-in. I had duodenal switch surgery with Dr. Enox on June 24th, 2015. I am 41 and 5'8". My starting weight was 275. After my liver reduction diet on the date of surgery, my weight was 260. Last week my weight was 224. And this week my weight is 221. So I am down 54 since my consult and 3 pounds this week. So very happy with that loss. I've had a couple of NSVs this week. The biggest is that my back is getting better with work on Pilates. I'm actually sitting on the floor right now, which is fairly huge for me. It's been quite a while since I've been able to do that with any comfort at all. Forgive my sniffles, I'm dealing with allergies. That's Jake. He's my beagle. He was quietly sleeping in another part of the house, but once he realized I was making a film, he knew he had to be involved in the project, even if it was just to snore while I talk. So enjoy. In addition to the back being a little bit better, which I'm really excited about, and I think the Pilates is really helping, and I'm so fortunate to have somebody like that in my life who's working with me to try to make things better from the inside. I had a successful visit with my neurologist last week. For those of you who saw my last week's video, you saw my check-in from Rochester, Minnesota. So everything went pretty well, and my medications are still being processed well, which in a malabsorptive procedure was kind of a question mark as to how that was going to go. And no real changes to my condition, but any downward slide is what you want to avoid in anything epilepsy related. So overall, good news. There's some challenges that I see coming down the pike. As I'm getting more active, and obviously getting involved with Pilates and stuff is great, I've found that sometimes I get in my cardio related stuff on a daily basis and sometimes I don't. And that it's easy to let that slide when the weight is coming off anyway, which is unique in my experience of trying weight loss methods. Because historically I had to work out a lot to see changes in the scale in addition to dieting. So I see a potential slippery slope here. I'm gonna keep on top of that and make sure that I get the commitment that I made to my health and take it to heart all the way, because it's not just about weight loss, and for me it's not even mostly about weight loss. It's about these other goals I've set for myself and what I want out of this year. So I'm gonna make that happen. The other thing that's been kind of an interesting emotional adjustment or challenge for me is coming to terms with the sheer number of vitamins and supplements and so forth that I'm taking now. The DS is a pretty major malabsorptive procedure. I knew what I was in for when I signed up for the surgery. But there is this part of me that is so excited about getting off of medications associated with blood pressure and diabetes and all that good stuff that I'm a little disheartened to see the number of things I have to take every day, even if they're supplements and things for my health. So it's just taking a little getting used to. I am going to find my way through that thicket, so no worries. So this week I think the big thing is dealing with comments, comparisons, and figuring out what this journey is going to look like for me. I went to get my hair cut, hacked off quite a bit, and so my stylist, who hadn't seen me, was very, very positive and supportive. I'm really lucky to be surrounded by such positive and supportive people. I'm a total nerd. When I go into something, a big project like this has been for me, I tend to throw myself into it maybe I get a little obsessive, and I research it a lot. I talk about it a lot. And having patient friends and family around while you are working through your stuff is such a blessing. And I value every single one of those folks for doing that for me. And in particular, though, this comment came from my hairstylist, that she was really impressed by what had happened so far. She hadn't seen me since before surgery, didn't even know I was having it because I hadn't had the chance to talk to her about it. But I did when we got together. And she said, I didn't want to say anything. I could tell how much you'd changed, but I wasn't, sure I should talk about it and things like that. And it really made me realize how sensitive weight is as an issue for us. And, how much shame is involved in that status. Whether it should be or not is not the question. It just is right now. Culturally, for men, for women, it doesn't matter. This is a tough one. And she was just really trying to be sensitive, particularly being in a service-based profession, that she didn't offend. For me, it's a positive thing. I'm working hard. I'm accomplishing things where accomplishment was really tough before in this area. My health is improving. I'm feeling better. I'm setting goals and achieving them. So I had nothing but positive feelings about it. Even though, sure, we're struggling with some body issues and skin issues and stuff, but overall, such a net positive. And so, yeah, that's something I've been mulling over, is even the people in your life who, want the best for you, have nothing but positive things to say. Everybody struggles with, with what this means. I'm talking here. Shh, hey. Hey. Cubby. Shh. Sorry. So, comparison's another one. I don't, in general, have an issue with comparing myself to others, either skinny folks or people who are on their own weight loss journey, partially because I've sort of adopted as much as possible and reinforced that whole Kurt Vonnegut approach of, in the end, the race is long and it's only with yourself. At the end of all of this, it doesn't matter to me whether I lost quickly at some phase, slowly at another phase, slowly through the whole thing. What matters is that I maximized the use of this tool when it was at its most effective during this honeymoon phase, whatever they call it. That's what I want to be able to say. I made the most of it. And, I'm ready to tackle maintenance when that gets there, when I get there. So, but that's not to say that I'll never feel that way. That's not to say that I won't ever find myself, after having stalled for 2 months, if that happens, just kind of looking around going, seriously, as everybody else seems to leave me in the dust or stuff like that. I'm not sure. And so I found myself kind of thinking about how I'll deal with those feelings. I mean, there's only so much use in thinking about things that haven't happened and may never happen. But, stalls are pretty realistic. Life happens. And so I find myself, wandering through different parts of how to cope with those different kinds of experiences. Be interested if you guys have any thoughts on that, or if those of you further out have struggled with any of that. I'd love your input. Finally, I would just say, I guess I haven't really had any real carb issues this week. I find that I feel better when I don't experiment too much with carbs in any real serious quantity. That's self-reinforcing. It's great. I feel better, and I'm sort of finding ways to make that work for me. Not really dealing with any temptation or anything. I am finding ways to get the crunchy experience that I miss, which is harder to do with protein sometimes. We made some homemade kale chips this week, which were out of this world. Kale is available by the boatload here in North Carolina. And so no no shortage of it around. And we put some really good, like, some cheese on it, some dried cheese powder that was available from our like spice shop. So it was really nice, dehydrated, high quality stuff. And it made some phenomenal kale chips. So if you're thinking about it, I encourage you to give them a try. They're oven baked and they are tasty. They're all over the internet, but if you need a recipe, just let me know. And the other thing I've noticed is that a little bit of panko breadcrumbs goes a long way towards giving you that crunchy stuff when you're making like tuna croquettes or panko or Parmesan chicken, anything like that, where you want to have some crunchy, but you don't need to add very much at all, nothing close to what even a regular recipe would call for, to still have that, you know, crunchy experience without having any of the, you know, just a few grams of carbs for your serving. So that's something that I definitely think will be part of my regular toolkit as I go through trying to create what my diet will be, what my long-term eating patterns will be. I think that's going to be part of the palate pleasing without harming my eating plan kind of approach. So I'm thinking also, I've seen a lot of things on the Pinterest sphere about wonton wrappers and using those in sort of low-carb recipes. They only have about 3 carbs per square, little 3-inch square, and you can layer a couple of them in a muffin tin and then fill it with all kinds of proteiny goodness, taco cups or, you know, eggs or what have you. And apparently they make quite a crunchy, tasty experience with while keeping you within your eating plan. So I'm kind of giving that some thought too. Really just sort of trying to create that long-term approach to establishing some healthier patterns as far as food goes that still let me, you know, satisfy those urges that I have for crunchy, tasty type stuff. So that's about all I've got this week. I sure hope you guys are having a good week and can't wait to see your videos as always. If anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And I certainly appreciate everybody who watches and subscribes to my channel. It's so great to be integrated into this community, and I really appreciate you guys including me. So thanks again. Take care. I'll see you next week.